Philadelphia's NBC10.
Serving Pennsylvania,
New Jersey,
and Delaware.
Now live!
This is News 10 Midday!
Talks continue, and so does service, as the strike watch involving SEPTA and the Transport Workers Union rolls on. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Yuzi Brown, Washington.
And I'm John Blunt. Thanks for joining us on News 10 Midday on this Saturday, March 21st. Topping our news this hour, the buses, the subways, the trolleys are all moving while the SEPTA strike watch continues this Saturday. Talks are expected to resume later today while management awaits word from the union on the latest contract proposal. News 10's Christine Perez is standing by live in Center City with the very latest. Christine?
Well, John, the significant news today is that union strike captains are meeting in just about an hour to map out strategy. Now, union officials have said that there won't be a strike today, probably not one tomorrow. But they say if they see no progress by Sunday night, a strike could be possible. Now, they've been saying that for nearly a week, but the tone seems to be more serious. At this time, SEPTA officials say that the last time they met with union officials was late last night when they delivered some papers to their room here at the hotel. Now, chief negotiator, that's SEPTA's chief negotiator, Pat Patel, says that the ball is in the union's court now.
Nothing's going to be resolved until the whole agreement is resolved. I'm hoping that we can get together sometime today to start to hammer out an agreement. I've heard in the media that the union is meeting with their strike captain sometime today, so hopefully either before that or after that they'll give us a call and we'll sit down.
Again, union strike captains are meeting in just about an hour at 1 o'clock, and of course we have cameras there. If anything happens, we will let you know. For now, we are here at the hotel to see if we can hear from the union. Live at the Franklin Plaza Hotel, Christine Perez, News 10.
Thanks, Christine. Now remember to stay tuned to News 10 throughout the weekend for continuing coverage of the SEPTA negotiations.
In other news, the Philadelphia Public League All-Star Basketball game tipped off just minutes ago amid very tight security. News 10 is live courtside at St. Joe's University in Overbrook. The game was supposed to be played at the Palestra in University City. It was moved to St. Joe's after a shooting outside the Palestra 3 weeks ago. News 10 was on the scene just after shots rang out on March 1st. The shooting happened after the City League Championship game. 21-year-old Kyle McClaymore is charged with murder and aggravated assault. Police say he killed 22-year-old Anthony Davis and injured 3 other people. Claymore is scheduled for a preliminary hearing next week. A close call for a New Jersey state trooper this morning after a car rams into his police cruiser. News 10 on the scene just after midnight along the southbound lanes on Route 42 in Gloucester Township. Trooper Rick Massa was getting into his car after pulling someone over when, without warning, another car rear-ended his. Shaken up trooper was treated at Cooper Hospital and released. The driver of the car that hit the police cruiser, 37-year-old Edward Ott of King George, was also slightly injured in the accident. And a Philadelphia police officer is back home after an accident involving a patrol car. This one happened at 22nd and Snyder in South Philadelphia early this morning. The officer was treated and released from the hospital. 2 other people were treated and released from Graduate Hospital. No word yet on any of the victims' names or the cause of that accident.
A 13-year-old boy is under arrest this noon hour for the shooting death of a 15-year-old Germantown girl. News 10 is not identifying the teenager because he is a juvenile. He surrendered to the police administration building with his parents and his attorney. The boy is accused of shooting Latoya Brown on Thursday. The 9th grader at Martin Luther King High was waiting for a school bus when she was shot. Stormy weather made its way through the Delaware Valley overnight. News 10 was along the Admiral Wilson Boulevard in Camden, where heavy rain caused the usual flooding here. Now, some parts of the Delaware Valley saw hail and sleet as well. Across the region and at the Jersey Shore, the possibility of flooding still exists this afternoon. Let's check in right now with News 10 meteorologist Glenn Hurricane Schwartz, who's live in the Earthwatch Center. Glenn?
Well, the heaviest rain did move through overnight. The flood threat at the shore is mainly from the high tide that's coming up in the next couple of hours. We'll show you on the radar what did move through overnight, and it was pretty heavy. This is starting yesterday afternoon, the big blob around Washington. Watch it move through, solid line right there, middle of the night, and now we're left with little spits of moisture coming around the main storm system out in the Ohio Valley, but the large area of heavy rain, steady rain, thunderstorms, that has moved past. But we do have a little light rain, even a little light sleet in parts of the area this afternoon. We'll see how long this nasty weather is going to last coming up in just a few minutes. Yuzi?
All right, Glenn. Other parts of the country had to deal with rough weather. Residents of a North Carolina community are still in shock following a deadly tornado that killed 2 and injured 19. Emergency crews were still searching buildings late last night near Winston-Salem. They're looking for more possible victims amid the rubble. Meanwhile, authorities have closed all roads into the area, and the homeless are being sheltered in a nearby school. In Georgia, residents there are still recovering from a tornado that ripped through the area. The storm killed 11 people and injured 80 others yesterday morning. It left behind a devastating trail of damage. Townspeople lined the roadway near the school that was partially crushed, staring in disbelief at the wreckage. The entire front wing of the school was destroyed, more than half the classrooms damaged.
Whitewater prosecutors and White House lawyers are at it once again, arguing over executive privilege. The two sides were in closed session with a federal court judge over the matter. Now, executive privilege is a legal theory upheld by the courts that allows the president to keep private the confidential advice that he receives from advisors. Independent counsel Kenneth Starr is trying to determine what, if anything, Clinton may have told his senior aides about his relationship with intern Monica Lewinsky. Lewinsky, meanwhile, is apparently getting some positive recognition out of the Clinton investigation. She was recently given the Star treatment during a visit right here to our area. News 10's Mike Strug has more.
The Angel All-Stars are a cheerleading team heading for the national championships in Orlando next week. But bringing home a trophy here to the Cheer Force gym seems to be about the only thing that could be better than having met Monica Lewinsky.
She was smiling ear to ear. She looked so excited watching us, and I thought it was a great experience to see her. I loved it.
She's just really nice. She looks much thinner in person.
Lewinsky and her attorney turned out to watch this practice because David Schau, the son of the friends that Ginsburg was visiting, is a member of the team. A team that reveled in the reflected limelight.
I don't think that what she's accused of has even fazed the kids. I think that her name's in the press and she spoofed on Saturday Night Live.
Not what she did, but who she is.
Who she is, exactly.
It's a shame that she's caught up in this dilemma because it's her personal business, and I think it should stay personal.
Americans are into everybody's business, very nosy, you know, and I guess I feel bad. It's a bad situation, but everything, I guess, will turn out all right, truth or not.
That may be up to Kenneth Starr and the grand jury. But for a few hours anyway, Monica Lewinsky was out of the spotlight and in Philadelphia. In Center City, I'm Mike Strug, News 10.
Still to come on News 10 Midday, an arrest in what's being called an internet bombing that killed a New England teenager.
We're going to tell you about another consumer alert about airbags. It's very important information about some very popular models.
And it is just a drill, but some local police learn hard lessons about dealing with criminals. That's coming up when News 10 Midday continues.
You're watching News 10 Midday.
The Maaco Supreme Paint Sale is on now. Our Supreme Paint service is now twice as good at half the price. Now only $225. The Maaco Supreme Paint service wraps your car in a Durability Plus high-grade enamel finish. It's so durable, it's backed in writing by over 500 Maaco centers coast to coast. Come to your local Maaco and get a $450 Supreme package for only $225. The Maaco Paint Sale. So if you want your car painted for half price, say, uh-oh, better get Maaco. Call 1-800-523-1180 for the Maaco center nearest you.
Keep up with NBC News 24 hours a day on MSNBC. On cable and the internet, MSNBC News.
Hold the elbow.
Want a mingle?
Ooh, brush your breath clean.
Get the tingle. Your signal. New Dentine is scrubbing, brushing your breath fresher than ever.
It always does that.
How nice.
Brush your breath clean with New Dentine.
Are all these deductions legal, sweetie?
Do you know what the odds of getting audited are?
There are days you'd like to forget, but don't forget Bradley's for once-a-season savings on fashions, dinnerware, and flatware, kitchen electrics, plus lots more of the good stuff. You're watching News 10 Midday.
Welcome back. An Indiana man is under arrest for a bombing that killed a 17-year-old Vermont boy and injured his mother. Authorities say Chris Dean was upset with Chris Marquis.
Updating it. Nothing changes faster than the weather, but we're running a close second. Stay informed with Weather Center all day today and every day.
In the next half hour, Weather Center, a comprehensive national forecast. At 40 after, Weather Center continues with highway and air travel conditions. Then the weekend outlook. And at 50 after, Storm Watch. But right now, it's your local forecast on the Weather Channel.
Next on Weather Center, heavy snow falls in parts of the Northeast on the first full day of spring. Meanwhile, other areas in the region see freezing rain or rain. Details on this and other stories coming up. Good afternoon to you. Thanks for joining us here at Weather Center. I'm Rich Johnson here with Janetta Jones. We continue to follow storm in the Northeast. Nothing like yesterday, though.
No, nothing like yesterday. The severe weather that occurred, the devastation that occurred in Georgia, North Carolina, Virginia, it was just awful. Today, it's a different type of precipitation, and that is in the form of snow and, well, just a wintry mix. Let's take you to a couple of locations. First of all, into Syracuse, where the snow coming on down. Roads became icy as the rain turned to snow this morning. The snow has been heavy at times, a couple of inches accumulated very quickly. Light to moderate snow will continue in Syracuse throughout the day. You should get about 6 inches of snow or more before it's over. Into Boston we take you. It's a snowy, windy day. This was the scene earlier as some of you grabbed a morning bagel and coffee near Copley Square. Light snows today could result in accumulations of a couple of inches. The bigger story, however, the wind. Winds have been gusting 30 to 35 miles per hour. That combined with temperatures around 30, producing wind chills near zero. So you definitely have to bundle up this morning as you're heading on out, or I guess right now it's about lunchtime as you're heading on out. Looking at this satellite vantage point, you can see that the bulk of the system has now moved on off towards the north and the east, and as it has done so, we are seeing the precipitation moving in that direction too. A little bit of sleet, a little bit of freezing rain, a little bit of snow, a little bit of rain. We've got it all today in the Northeast, and we'll try and break that down for you. And actually, you can see that swirl, that counterclockwise rotation. No severe weather today, so that is our good news for the day. We do, however, have some icy conditions on some of the roadways. The snow has been coming down heavily in places like Rochester. We have freezing rain in Westfield, as well as Binghamton, and some sleet and snow mixed in Providence, Rhode Island. We've been talking about some rain in Hartford. That seems to be easing up, and we've been talking about snow in Boston for the most part. So a little bit of everything across this particular region. Philadelphia has been seeing some light rain, so has Baltimore, so has Washington, D.C., but the heavy rain pretty much over, even though we do have some flash flood watches in effect here. Backlash effect. We've got rain in Pittsburgh, snow in Erie and Bradford, and snow on back towards Buffalo and Elmira. A little bit of rain in Columbus, Ohio, but we're looking at snow in Toledo and Findlay and Detroit. So we've got a little bit of everything, as I mentioned. And to Lexington, we've been seeing some snow, and the snow is actually extended on southward into Crossville, Tennessee. However, Knoxville has been reporting some rain. Now we take you into the Northeast. We'll show you some of those tricky spots, I-80, I-70, I-79. Of course, along I-95, you may encounter snow. In Maine, freezing rain as you get on into parts of Massachusetts and Connecticut. And then as you head on into parts of Pennsylvania, we may see some rainfall. So a little bit of everything. Here's our low, and another one forming here. It will be riding up the coast, pulling the moisture off of the Atlantic, dumping it right back on top of you. That's why we have the winter storm watches and warnings and the winter weather advisories in effect. We're anticipating as much as 5 to 10 inches of snow in some locations. And so that's going to be something that we'll have to deal with, obviously. High pressure building in behind the system, a clearing trend for you across the southeast, even though we've still got the low clouds and it's still cold. At least we're not having to deal with all of the severe weather that we saw yesterday. We do have some spritzes of rain still continuing around Winston-Salem, and Roanoke is reporting some rain, and that should be moving on out soon. So the big story across the east, our area of low pressures and how they're moving on off towards the north and the east. This is going to be hanging around for the next day or so. Now, with a look at the rest of the country, here's Rich.
All right, thank you, Janetta. I know the rain is welcome in North Carolina, at least compared to what we saw yesterday. Let's have a look around the whole country, and let me show you some of the temperatures out there. Again, we'll start in the Northeast, where we have that mixture of precipitation. Satellite picture showing a bit of that dry slot heading right up off the Delmarva coast. We do see most of the area of the Northeast under clouds today, and you know what? I have a feeling up toward High Point, New Jersey, probably a bit of snow under the clouds, fair skies with increasing high clouds in the state of Maine. To the southern United States, high pressure in Oklahoma and Texas, a little bit cool today, but lots of sunshine. Little Rock all the way down to Dallas, Fort Worth, San Antonio, over to Houston. Beautiful day today. Hey, check this out. Great satellite picture here. You can see the snow on the ground. This is the storm that made its way all the way out to Wichita. And look how quickly this ends right here. Wichita is right about in this area. The big snow recently. One of the best things on this picture here, take a look. What do you think it is? See those clear skies out across western North Carolina into upstate South Carolina? I tell you, anytime you get a storm like this, you can have clouds down to the Gulf Coast, but that northwest wind, every time it seems, dries out the air, comes up over the mountains, back down, and when that does, it warms the air up. That means the atmosphere can hold more moisture, so the clouds evaporate. Right on the lee slopes, Greenville, Spartanburg, down close to Dog Country, over toward Athens. Very nice. Look at it. Pocket of 50s. Meanwhile, down the road in Atlanta and Birmingham, 40 degrees, sort of chilly. A few fluffy flurries out there across